Good evening, everyone, and welcome to AZMR. I'd like to acknowledge that this show was created on the stolen lands of the Jagera and Turrbal peoples. I pay respects to their elders past and present, and I would also like to acknowledge that sovereignty over this land was never ceded. Sovereignty was never ever ceded. Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to AZMR on Zed Digital this evening for episode number 29. Number 29. My name is Polly, and I'll be with you for the next 2 hours, where we are going to experience some ASMR and low sensory radio. Maybe you just want to have a bit of background noise while you do stuff. Background noise while you do stuff. Or maybe you need something to help you drift off to sleep. Something appropriately low sensory and kinda boring. Well, kinda boring is exactly what I'm here for. Don't you worry about that. So thanks for tuning in to episode number 29. If you want to go back and listen to old episodes prior to number 29, well, you can head to the 4ZZZ on demand website 4ZZZ.org.au/program/AZZMR, and you can listen to 6 episodes. So what's that? 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 and 28 until this episode drops in there. Then you won't get 23. But don't worry, because 23 and all the previous episodes will be on YouTube with fun visuals. So you can head over to YouTube and check those out if you want to listen to anything from the past. We also have social media, AzZzMR.4ZZZ on the socials. You can go there and, follow and or like stuff if you want, but no pressure. You can just stay here and listen on Zed Digital. That's where we are. You might be listening through your digital radio. You could be listening through the Community Radio Plus app, or maybe you're from the future and you're listening back on demand. All of these things are very good ways to listen to Zed Digital. Zed Digital. Yes, good. Coming up on tonight's show, we'll be reading the Hot 100 talking points. This is 10 to 1, but it wasn't 2023. I think it might have been 2022, which means it's not the year that I announced 10 to 1, which means someone has given me these talking points even though I wasn't the one to read them. I think my band might be in here, so that's why they would have given it to me. So that's a bit cute, but we'll be reading 10 to 1 of Hot 100 announcer talking points from, I believe, the year 2022. That will be a bit fun. Also, we'll be reading some Nintendo games reviews just the negative ones. Just the negative ones. Those are the fun ones. I do like reading a negative game review or two. That will be fun. Also coming up tonight, we're going to be... So, what happened is I actually recorded this segment last week, but I knew that it would be a bit of editing with all the, frequent burping and volume. I knew there'd be a lot of volume changes between the talking and the sounds that are coming out, so I didn't actually include this segment last week because it was a bit too much effort to edit last week. In case you weren't listening last week, early on in the show I let you all know that I had been bonked in the head and I had a bump on my head that I didn't remember, and like a pretty mean headache that I just didn't remember. And then I ended up going to hospital and they ended up keeping me overnight, and I just didn't have it in me to finish off what that segment needed for that episode, and I ended up just reusing a segment that I had in a previous episode. So very sorry about that, everyone, but I did spend some time in hospital. I overheard them talking about me, like the nurses and doctors and stuff, and they were calling me the amnesia lady. So I guess that's the title of this episode, or maybe that should have been the title of last week's episode. I don't know. But ultimately they let me go, so I should be fine. Well, I left because I was like, hey, I'm gonna go now, and they let me, so that's fine. Everything's fine, everybody. Don't even worry about it. Everything is fine. So tonight you'll be getting my fizzy drink comparison noises segment. It's basically, I really like the sound of fizzy drinks. Every time I open one, I'm like, oh, that's a good sound, and I just listen to it for a bit. I really like the taste as well, and also the sensation. So on tonight's show, we will have listening to different fizzy drink sounds. There will be some sounds in the can and then pouring into a cup, and we can listen to how they are different from one another. And yeah, I hope you enjoy that, because I really did enjoy making it, and I had so many fizzy drinks because I drank them all as I went, and I was like burping throughout and went to the toilet a lot afterwards. And I just really consumed quite a lot of sugar. So that's good. It's good for the middle of the night. That's what you need for sleep. Not really, but we had a good time. Okay, and after that there will be some gentle piano, just some gentle piano, just to help you drift off to sleep tonight. So thank you for tuning into AZMR episode number 29. So I'm going to start tonight with reading these Hot 100 announcer talking points, because we are in Hot 100 season. That is the period of time between December 1st and December 25th, maybe 26th, I can't remember, when you can vote for your favourite track of 2024 to be in this year's 4ZZZ Hot 100, which will be announced on New Year's Day from midday till 8 p.m. on 102.1 FM 4ZZZ. So it's all a bit exciting, and what we do is we all go to the Triffid to announce the Hot 100. So a collection, a smattering of announcers from all your favourite ZZZ programs will get together at the Triffid for the Hot 100 hangout, and you can go too, and you can watch everyone announce and listen to the songs, counting down 100 to 1 of the most popular songs on 4ZZZ for 2024. So I'll see you there. So what happens as an announcer? When it comes time to announce your segment, you are given a bit of paper with your segment's talking points on it. So it basically tells you the name of each song and then just some notes at the end if you want to have a little chat about that song. What tends to happen in the 10 to 1 segment is that announcers will start reading the notes before announcing what song it is, just to try and build suspense or whatever. So that's a little bit cute. So some excellent volunteers put together this list so that it's all ready for the announcers in case they don't know any facts about the songs. They will have some facts to draw on. So you don't go into the talking points of every song, but it is nice to have if you wanted to talk about the songs. So tonight we're going to be reading what looks like 2022's 10 to 1 in the 4ZZZ Hot 100 talking points. So let's get stuck in, everybody. Let's get stuck in. Number 10, Doggy Heaven, Berghain. Doggy Heaven, with this track off their double A side, Berghain Haircut, were the 20th most played artist released on 4ZZZ this last year. They played on Right Here, Right Now, and also were part of our Sounds Like community radio lineup during Big Sound. Number 9, Full Flower Moon Band, New York to LA. This band, with their album Diesel Forever, were the 4th most played artist released on 4ZZZ this past year. Number 8, Thelma Plum, The Brown Snake. Thelma's EP Meanjin was the 2nd most played release on 4ZZZ this past year. Number 7, Samantha Josephine, Feel the Hate. From Christchurch, New Zealand, Samantha had a lot of NZ fans voting by writing this entry in, as heard on the New Zealand show. Number 6, Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers, Girl Sports. Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers are an Australian 4-piece rock band from Canberra who formed in 2015. Singer Anna Ryan described Girl Sports as a big middle finger to all the men that have treated us like we're less than in the music industry. Number 5, The Double Happiness, Smoking Gun. This is off the band's album Roadhouse, which was a 4ZZZ album of the week during the month of September. The album was also the 11th most played release on 4ZZZ this past year. Number 4. King Stingray, Camp Dog. The self-titled album was our album of the week during Radiothon, the most popular artist and most played artist on 4ZZZ. Get Me Out was number 7 in last year's Hot 100. Number 3. Idol Ruin, Valley Inferno. Thrash death metal band from Brisbane, playing The Bearded Lady on January 21st. Number 2. Mitch Please. That's my band, everybody, that's my band. Rich Mitch. Mitch Please's latest EP, Yes Thanks, was 4ZZZ's album of the week just this last month. The band finished number 3 in last year's Hot 100 with their song Power of the Trach. Number 1. Square Tugs, I Don't Like It, featuring Polly Cook. That's me, everybody, that's me. Square Tugs' album Monster Hits was the 16th most played artist released on 4ZZZ this year. So, I'm guessing that's why someone gave me this bit of paper, because I got a cheeky number 1 and a cheeky number 2. So this is just me coming here to gloat, everyone, just coming here to gloat about being both the best and the second best. Anyway, I did do a cheeky feature with the Square Tugs that year. But if you want to vote in the 4ZZZ Hot 100, you can vote for my band, Mitch Please, if you want. You don't have to. You don't have to. I won't be cross if you don't. And I will also never, ever know. Never know. But head to the 4ZZZ website to vote for your this year's Hot 100. Or you can just type 4ZZZ Hot 100 in your search engine before Christmas. Or maybe it's Boxing Day, I don't know. I'm usually doing it in a panic on Christmas Day. So you could put a little bit more thought into it and do it a little earlier if you like. And there is a list, and to be on the list, you have to have been played, I think it's 8 times across 3 different programs, radio programs on 4ZZZ, so it can't just all be played by the one show. And that will get you on the list. But as we saw here with number 7, Samantha Josephine, that song wasn't on the list. It may have just been because it was only played on the New Zealand show, but a lot of people voted for that just by writing it in. So what you can do is manually put it in, and you still have a chance of your favorite song getting on that list, that top 100 songs. And make sure you tune in on New Year's Day to listen to your 2024 Hot 100. I also look forward to reading on Reddit how everyone thinks it's rigged. That's very enjoyable for me. So let's all do that, everyone. Okay, let's move along. I will move along from the shameless self-promotion now. You're listening to AZMR on Zed Digital. Next up, we're going to be reading some negative games reviews from Nintendo Official Magazine. And this issue is issue 144, which is September 2004, 2004. And on the cover is a picture of Animal Crossing at last. Welcome to Animal Crossing, population growing. So that's probably what the main article is about. And you must see these: Resident Evil 4, Paper Mario 2, and Second Sight. So obviously we're not going to read those reviews, because if they've put them on the front, I suspect that means they were favourable reviews, which is not what we're here for, everybody. We're here for the negative reviews only. So let's have a little squiz and see what we've got. Okay, here's one that is pretty low. Not as low as I would like, but let's give it a go. It's Terminator 3, The Redemption on GameCube. Arnie is an undercover cop in a primary school. Oh wait, wrong movie. But that might be better if they let you waste the kids. If you were a time-traveling robot from the future, would you A, continually put your life on the line by taking on super hard androids, or B, find out all the winning lottery numbers ever and spend the pots of cash on oil changes and vacuum cleaners for friends? Well, for the Terminator, it's a no-brainer, and Arnie would always prefer to grab his pistol and take out some robots rather than spend a pleasant afternoon in the company of a Dyson DC-08. Luckily, in Terminator 3, The Redemption, there are enough metallic bad guys to blast, bash round the head and run over to keep everyone happy. The game attempts to stand out from other action shooters in a number of ways, and it looks like it could just work, as long as you switch off your brain and don't try to compute too much. One of the biggest differences is you do nearly all of your shooting from the back of helicopters, jeeps, or robotic cars. The kind of thing that would make mums on the school run drool with envy. When you do decide to go on foot, the Terminator has different melee attacks at his disposal. Why bother shooting at an android when you can headbutt him and steal his energy instead? Or pick up a sign and whack microchips out of him. It's a very satisfying feeling when a robot has been taking pot shots at you and you can strike back by giving him a good smack in the kisser. An Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonator also spouts classic one-liners such as, "Don't lose your head," when stamping on a robot, or "That's what I'm taking about," after taking out a gunship. The problem is, from the levels we've seen, the driving doesn't seem to be particularly challenging, with most of the courses being pretty linear, and although the shootouts can be pretty frantic at times, you can lock onto targets with relative ease. Now that the obvious Arnie game is well underway, how about a few more? Kindergarten Cop and Twins for a start. Rob Berman. Essentials. Developer Paradigm Entertainment, famous for Pilot Wings 64, Spy Hunter, and Mission Impossible Operation Surma. Multiplayer 2-player co-op. Publisher Atari. Release a couple of months. Review sooner or later. So I think this is a preview. Predicted score 65%. Driving around in the back of a car and punching robots in the chops is going to get pretty boring quickly. It needs a jingle all the way subgame. Okay. Oh, this one's another preview. This is Future Tactics, The Uprising. Remember Advance Wars? This is nothing like it. We'll start off with a compliment. Future Tactics does live up to the first half of its name in that it's set in the future. Sadly, it is a future with no tactics to speak of. Joe Wood says this is a tactical RPG focused on action. They're not joking. There are no messy stats to worry about, or any exchangeable weapons, or much of a story. In fact, they pretty much went ahead and took out all the gameplay, so you don't have to think ever. Future Tactics story mode is split up into 19 different episodes, each of which is made up of one tactical battle scene in which your team of ragtag rebels must face off against evil blue puppets that look like they should be on a children's morning TV show. Episodes tend to last about twice as long as they should. By the 15-minute mark, you've explored the entire map and are getting bored. But you still have to plug away at the enemies, firing the same gun over and over again. At least the firing system is unique. Once you get your character in line with the enemy and select shoot, the game switches to a first-person sight mode. You have to center the sight on the target, then two lines start crisscrossing the scope. You have to nail them when they're in the center of the target if you want perfect shot accuracy and higher damage. If you miss, don't give up. Future Tactics terrain is completely deformable, which means you could blow a giant crater in the ground or blow up a house to find health and upgrade pickups. If this is all sounding good, you need to know that what we've just told you is pretty much the entire game. Don't try to map out any kind of strategy. It's pointless since the game respawns enemies in random locations during all the battles. Just shoot, run, repeat until somebody is dead. Oh, there's a multiplayer battle mode too, if you want to lose friends. Chris Kohler. Essentials. Developer Zed2. Famous for wet tricks on Nintendo 64. Remember that? We were into it. Multiplayer 1 to 2 players. Publisher Joe Wood. Release TBC. Review TBC. Predicted score. We have only played the first 3 levels, but whoever reviews it will have to play the other 16. Kohler's already called not it. 40%. Ooh, okay, we're getting into actual reviews now, so we'll see how we go there. Catwoman. Spin, flick, and kick your way through city streets like a modern Prince of Persia in tight leather. Prince of Persia does what not many games have succeeded in doing. It takes an insanely agile character that can sprint along walls, swing on poles, hang off ledges, and does all kinds of impossible ninja stuff. Throws him into a series of complex, obstacle-filled levels and makes it playable. What you'd initially expect from a game of this description is an awkward, frustrating platformer with jittery controls and a horrible tendency to throw you off ledges and make you start again. Prince of Persia exceeded expectations. It stuck its middle finger up at the condemnation brought on by half-assed platform adventure games and got 90% in issue 138 for it. Now, it seems the makers of Catwoman hope to knock the prince off his royal throne. The sexy feline lady is a specialist at leaping all over the place like a rebel against gravity. She can run up walls, hang onto and move around on wire fencing Mario style, swing around and flick off poles, and bounce between two adjacent walls to get higher and higher with each leap. Combine that with her ability to kick ass, and her profile almost exactly matches that of the turban-wearing dude, only much better looking. Swinging on poles is as simple as holding down a button, and when you let go, she'll automatically guide herself to the next pole or platform. No worries there. Wall jumping is simple to grasp, and if, in your lack of 3D stick skills, you walk her off the edge of a platform, she'll spin round, grab on and pull herself back up. It's been done quite well, and you always feel Catwoman, as agile as she is always under your control. Too bad we can't give as much praise to the level design. Mainly based in busy urban streets, they are nowhere near as clever as the stages found in Sands of Time. You bounce off some walls to a roof. You swing from a couple of poles to another roof. Hit a switch with your whip. There's little more to it. There's also little in the way of puzzles. Sands of Time had a number of tricky puzzles that'd get your brain ticking. The levels in Catwoman are puzzling only in the way that it's usually less obvious where you have to go. You'll be trying to run up walls that have been programmed with the non-climbable wall code. There's only one way to go, and it can be a pain finding it. Then you scramble along a linear path until you reach a switch that opens a trapdoor or something like that, opening a new path. That's hardly puzzling because you're not forced to think about anything. Just follow a path until something happens, basically. The fighting is worse. You can make Catwoman kick the crap out of an attacker, and the bloke just won't stay down. It's like he's Superman or made of metal. He loves her boot in his face. We know it's Halle Berry, but this is ridiculous. You can kick them into bins or explosive barrels to ruin them, but you'll just find yourself playing human pinball with them to kick them in the right direction. This isn't fun, by the way, it's tedious. There's just no spark to this game. Sands of Time has great levels that can make you want to explore them. Catwoman doesn't. Sands of Time has innovative time-warping features that allow you to undo your fatal mistakes and try again. Catwoman doesn't innovate. It's flat. It's a poorly thought out rush job with the primary objective of coming out in tandem with the movie instead of being good. Fancy that, eh? Money is the cure. We'd prefer to spend our money on monkey biscuits and junky Jim Jam juice. As you progress through the game, you will pick up cash which is totaled at the end of each level. This cash can then be used to buy new moves for Catwoman, like being able to whip a gun out of an attacker's hands or using the whip to strangle the mothers. So 1 minute she doesn't know a move and then she does. Who is she paying the money to? Some mythical fighting god? Why won't she do these moves at the beginning? Maybe it's a form of amnesia that's curable with money. Or maybe the whole idea was created because it sounded good on the press release. So, should you play it? Yes, if you've got £40, you've finished Sands of Time and getting hungry for more acrobatic action. No, if you value £40 as a price only suitable for awesome games. This isn't one. I think there's some typos in this sentence, but it's you'll love it if you're starring at polygonal ladies. They've modelled Hallie's flawless body well. Graphics 7. Halle Berry looks great and there's a nice level of detail in the city streets. Sound 7. It's functional, does the job but nothing mind-blowing or memorable. Gameplay 6. It's got some nice controls that go to waste on boring, repetitive levels. Lifespan 4. You'll play the first few levels, realize you've seen it all before and lose interest. Verdict. Catwoman handles quite well. That's not the problem here. It's the lack of ideas in the levels that will bore you to tears. If they had cooler puzzles and some interesting events, this would have been cool. Best bit, we were going to flag up the digital berry, but that would be pathetic. Worst bit, that all too familiar sinking feeling from a movie tie-in game. Second opinion, this was the best game I played on my first day at Nintendo Official Magazine. The other game was RoboCop. That was shocking. This is merely a bit on the cack side. Rob Berman. Unheroic 62%. 62%. Hamtaro. Ham games. Hamtaro. Ham games. Over 15 different events and hardly the inside of a loo roll tube to be seen. Price £29.99. Publisher Nintendo. Players 1 to 4. Out July 16. Hamsters in real life are useless. They bite, they stink, and they only do stuff when all the humans in the house have gone to bed. Thank God, then, for Hamtaro and his pals. Even though they're not real, they make for much better pets. They dance, sing, and there's no danger of waking up to find they've chewed through your iPod charger cable and frazzled themselves and your beloved jukebox in the process. This latest Hamtaro, Hamfest, comes hot on the little pink heels of Ham Heartbreak, the quirky and almost cool RPG Chatter 'em Up, where you had to reunite the lovelorn hams in the name of love. This time around, however, the hamster gang are playing sports, and all RPG quirkiness is out the window, along with the soiled bedding. Maybe the hams decided they need a way to channel all that sexual energy now that they're all getting along again. Whatever, in the absence of an official GBA Olympics game, this is all the sporting action you're likely to see on your handheld this summer. Oh, it didn't say what platform it's on, but I assume it's Game Boy Advance. Oh yeah, it's Game Boy Advance. And what was Catwoman? Catwoman was on GameCube. Okay, Catwoman was on GameCube. Hamtaro is on Game Boy Advance. Okay. The action is set across a 7-day tournament that sees Hamtaro and his pals tackle various sporting challenges in a bid to win more seeds and collect more medals than the other 3 teams in the competition. Each day features up to 3 different events to take part in, with 15 in total. Given that this is a game that features talking hamsters that seem to self-combust when they get excited, the actual sporting events on offer in Ham Ham games are disappointingly tame. Archery and 100-meter dashes are all well and good, but why not go the whole hamster? Why not have cheek stuffing contests or poop pellet producing face-offs? Instead, what you get are 15 events that you've played variations of in any other sports game already out there. And about half of them can be found much better elsewhere. The biggest problems are found in the team-based activities like tennis or beach volleyball. The controls for moving around the various courts are simply too sluggish and clumsy for these events to be fun. Timing the swings of your hamster racket has less to do with the accurate ball physics and more to do with flailing blindly and hoping for the best. And to think this is a game from the same house that brought us Mario Tennis. Other events are much better, like the rhythm action inspired diving. Others are just plain weird, like the bird back riding, but ultimately there's nothing new here, and only about half of it is any good. All is not lost for Hamtaro and his pals, though, as Ham Ham Games is packed with loads of extras to help keep you interested. The biggest draw is multiplayer gaming. You'll each need a copy of the game, but it's almost worth it to battle your mates in the 100-meter dash alone. Even the more problematic events like tennis become less irksome when the wobbly AI and ball movement aren't cheating you and you're playing against real people instead. Replaying through the championship earns you bonuses too. One particularly neat touch is the way you can set the difficulty of each event. The higher the difficulty, the more seeds you win. The more seeds you store up, the sweeter the surprises bestowed on you. Like costumes to dress up in. You might not care about playing dress-ups, but it's hard not to chuckle the first time you see Hamtaro slip into his little spandex monkey suit. Other extras include the ability to trade data and special player cards with pals who own the game. Or you can simply roam around sniffing, or rather hiffing, out the secrets hidden everywhere. Or you can check out the TV shows on the wide screen at the clubhouse, or lurk around the shower rooms in the athletes' village to catch up on the gossip. However, no amount of extra features can mask the limited gameplay and occasionally shoddy control mechanics. It would have been much better to cut down on the bump and sacrifice a few hammy extras in place of including more original, more playable events. But amazingly, in spite of all this, Ham Ham Games still stands up as one of the better multi-event Olympics-style sports games on GBA. It's enough to make us want to eat our own young. Darren Fox. So, should you buy it? Yes, if you absolutely must play a new multi-event sports game, or if you love all things Hamtaro. No, if you hate the sugary sweet world of the hamster freak, i.e. you're normal. You'll love it if you like watching the Olympics and wishing it was with hamsters instead of people. Graphics 8. Pure ham magic. Bright, colourful, and with some pretty funny animations. Sound 6. The tunes are average and repeated over and over. No sampled ham chat either. Gameplay 7. More events than most sports games, but they're not great. Some nice extras. Lifespan 6. Longer if your mates have the game for multiplayer fun and card trading. Verdict. Ultimately, it's disappointing, but the surreally sweet world of Hamtaro can have a strange hypnotic effect, lessening the effect of this below-par effort. Only bother if a bunch of you are going to play it together. Best bit, reading filthy meanings into the ham's innocent chatter. Worst bit, unplayable toss like beach volleyball. Take an early bath. Second opinion. On the screens at E3, this looked the business. I should have known better. I am the lord of tennis games and I could barely return a serve. That's just weak. Teen Scott. Oh, lame picks. 62%, 62%, 62%. Been getting that score a bit, actually. Samurai Jack, the Shadow of Aku. Samurai Jack, the Shadow of Aku. We're not even going to mention the chickens this time. This is on GameCube. Game info price $39.99. Publisher Sega. Players 1 memory 20 blocks. Out now. We had it all worked out. That little comment under the review score was going to say Samurai Cack, and we would laugh and everything would be okay. How dare Sega ruin our plans by actually releasing a half-decent licensed game. Inconsiderate, Sonic hawking little swines. Haha, just kidding. We love those guys. We'd have loved them even more, though, if they'd made Samurai Jack a bit less boring. Fundamentally, it's all here. They've followed the book How to Make a Generic Third-Person Action Game to the letter. Heck, they've even got the latest edition that includes the bullet time chapter. So you're Jack. They've made a major cock-up stylistically because the cartoon looks amazing and the game looks nothing like it. It's perhaps the one generic action game this year that really could have done with being full cell shaded. Oh, the irony. The mechanics of running around and chopping people are pretty tidy though. And the bullet time play allows for some super cool looking multiple enemy dispatches. Kia. The enemies keep on coming. In each level there's 3 or 4 variants. Ones that shoot, ones that melee. They respawn, and it's a major pain in the ass. You kill the big one to get the key which opens up the next bit. There's nothing new, basically. The level designs are logical, but a few want you to climb high up on rickety ledges, where your punishment for falling off is to start from the bottom again. It's quicker to kill yourself in lava and trigger a retry point halfway up, but that's against the Nintendo religion. We're used to Metroid and the likes gleefully reporting how often we died at the end. We have learned to fear death. Funny that. Samurai Jack is not worth 40 quid. Hardly any games are really, but let's say you saw this for 20 and it might be worth a go. You could do a lot worse. You could go to China, buy a tiger, and it could eat you. Dean Scott. So should you buy it? Graphics 5. A missed opportunity. Where's the cartoon style? The cut scenes suck. Sound 6. Wah wah kya chang chang boom
Also some music. Gameplay 6. Uninspired but functional. The bullet time stuff is sometimes awesome. Lifespan 5. Lots of continue points and limitless jacks. It's pretty easy. Verdict. Samurai Jack is a pretty inoffensive video game. The kids that buy it won't hate it, but with a closer eye on the art and some actual new ideas, this could have been good fun. The world needs this like it needs another 100 records based on I Don't Want You Back. SAMR average. 55%. Dragon Ball Z Supersonic Warriors. Publisher Atari. Release date out now. Price $29.99. Players 2. Game save card. This is on Game Boy Advance. Surely Dragon Balls are a hideous disease from far eastern shores that has you writhing in pain and wincing like an injured puppy. Luckily, this game is not such a painful experience. There are numerous beat-em-ups on the GBA. Some are classics, whereas others are the very bottom of Beelzebub. This falls somewhere between the two. The gimmick is that scraps aren't limited to the ground, and you pummel your opponent in the skies too. The battles take place on a huge scale, with the camera zooming in and out as the characters cover miles of ground. The problem is you spend most of your time actually getting to your opponent, using the R button to dash towards them, and when you do finally reach them, bashing A or B will usually win a battle. It can feel like fighting underwater rather than flying through the skies. For fans of the Dragon Ball cartoon, the story mode will be the most exciting. But for us there was too much text to skip through, and strange-looking characters kept talking about things like special beam cannons and hyperbolic time chambers, which was bamboozling to say the least. Confusing. 60%. Barbarian. Publisher Avalon. Release date out now. Price $19.99. Players 1 to 4. Memory card 3 blocks. GameCube. What's that we hear you cry? You want a beat-em-up you can play blindfolded with your hands tied behind your back so you can just bash the joypad with your nose? Well, read on. The premise of Barbarian is pretty good. Mythical characters engage in epic battles in a number of dramatic locations. It even features an ape called Mungo, and everyone loves monkeys because they are nature's clowns. You can pick up bits of the scenery, like barrels, huge boulders, or even massive stone columns, and bash each other, which is pretty nifty when you lob a boulder onto your opponent's bonce. Ultimately, though, it is a rather lackluster affair that has a poor fighting system. In most battles, you can normally get away with just hammering the A or B buttons in succession, and you will unleash all manner of fairly hit and miss combos. And although the settings are decent, like castle grounds or Viking ships, some work against you, and your opponent can be hidden behind a wall because of the poor camera. You know that someone is beating you up, but you can't see the crafty blighter. Barbaric 48%. Spider-Man 2. Publisher Activision. Release date out now. Price $29.99. Players 1. Game save card. Game Boy Advance. We may have banged on about 3D on GBA thing before, but here's a case in point. The level select screen for this game tries to ape the city-swinging hijinks of the classy GameCube game. It's so incredibly lame, we couldn't believe our eyes. It's worth seeing in a shop just so you can piss yourself laughing at the hilarious over-ambition. The actual game, a fairly tidy side-on Spidey adventure. Climb up walls? Check. Swing on web? Check. Deliver pizza? As if Spider-Man hasn't got more important things to do than pimp his ass to Domino's. Presumably the ladies tip better when the delivery boy shows up in lycra so tight you can see what size his salami is. Naturally, you can swing on web and smack people about, but it's not quite as slick as it should be. Spidey looks a bit unnatural crawling from wall to ceiling, and that can't be right. It reminded us of a little-known Konami game called Ninja Cop, actually, and we're hijacking this review now to talk about that. Buy Ninja Cop. Get on eBay now and do it. It's like Spider-Man, but you also have ninja stars. It's ace. It's like something from the golden age of 2D and nobody even knows it exists. Dean loves it. Buy Ninja Cop. 60% buy Ninja Cop. I love the review is just buy this other game. Okay. Defender of the Crown. Defender of the Crown. Publisher Metro 3D Europe. Release date September 17. Price $29.99. Players 1. Game save. Cart. Game Boy Advance. Ever wondered what it would be like to be a medieval ruler? A life of wearing tights, rescuing damsels in distress and drinking flagons of ale? Well, here's your chance. Kind of. Set in 1149, the year rather than the time, war-ravaged England has been split into different kingdoms, and you must conquer the land. It's a rough life being a ruler, and you must divide your time between battling troops and advancing your own army into other territories. The problem is that the game isn't very exciting. You spend most of your time looking at a coloured map, which you can do without a GBA by looking at an atlas. Even the battles aren't great because you don't see what's going on, and the fierce fight is represented only by numbers. It can also be irritating when you spend a long time conquering territories only to have the bloody Normans steal one from under your nose without you being able to do anything. Admittedly, there are some jousting matches that alleviate the boredom for a few moments, but ultimately it's the type of game that fans of Time Team will probably enjoy the most. Ancient 46%. Robocop. Publisher Avalon. Release date out now. Price $39.99. Players 1. Memory card 4 blocks. GameCube. Being a gun-toting robotic cop in a violent future full of cyberpunks armed to the teeth should be great. Unless you are playing this woeful game, which is like having digital sick in your GameCube. An all-action FPS, this is not. It's more like a Dalek's day out on a grubby council estate, as you sluggishly roam about Neo-Detroit, shooting at nondescript bad guys who pop up out of nowhere and vanish when killed. Even when they are arrested, Robocop uses his special vanishing gun to make them disappear. He doesn't even read them their rights. Robocop also appears to really like reggae music, and the soundtrack is an obscure choice for an action game. You almost expect the bad guys to have dreadlocks and be drinking lilt. The plot sees the tin can with a heart uncovering nefarious schemes by the mega corporate OCP and, oh wait a minute,
That's right, we couldn't care less. The best plot in the world wouldn't improve this stinking pile of turd. Robo Croc, 32%. Wings. Publisher Metro 3D Europe. Release date September 17. Price $29.99. Players 1 to 4. Game save card. Game Boy Advance. Picture the horror of World War I. You're in the skies, firing cannon rounds at nimble pilots like there's no tomorrow. Dean and Kingsley remember playing this on something called an Amiga years and years ago. You don't even know what that is, do you? You fly around, finally get an enemy in your sights, and then one of 3 things could happen. The enemy magically disappears before your very eyes, your guns jam, or you get in a lucky shot, only to have to repeat the whole process again and again. Then the enemy flies into you, so you crash and burn anyway. This game is set in 3 sections: top-down bombing, isometric strafing, and 3D dog fighting. The first is easy and playable. The strafing goes against the realism of the other 2, with you pointing down but not diving. Okay, so it makes these parts playable in the viewpoint they chose. But why then does it become so harsh in the first-person fight bits? How are you supposed to dogfight when your plane is as agile as the moon? And where do the other planes go when they come within 7 feet of you? They just vanish, pop and gone. Wherever they go, we wish the game would follow. Bingo Wings, 46%. So that was the Nintendo games reviews for this evening. Normally we get some more below 50%, but I had to read a bunch that were kind of in the 60s. They were still sassy, but they didn't tear them to the shreds like the below 50% ones do. But they were still sassy and fun, so I hope you enjoyed that segment. Okay, next we've got the segment that is from last week. So, for the next part of the show, we're going to be listening to some fizzy drinks, which is going to be a bit cute. They might sound all exactly the same, or they might sound completely different. I just don't know. So, there'll be some can opening and bottle opening sounds, and some pouring sounds, into my cup. I'm going to really need to go to the toilet after this, I'm sure, because I will be drinking a lot of fizzy drinks, but I'm not terribly cross about drinking a lot of fizzy drinks. It's kind of my favorite thing to drink. So let's get stuck in, I guess. Do we have any hypotheses? I wonder, do we have any hypothesis? Do we think that they are going to sound different? I don't know. I think that they will probably sound exactly the same. But as someone who has listened to lots of fizzy drinks, they all sound very fizzy. But maybe some of them will sound a little differently when they open, like in the bottle. Or maybe it will all just be a lot of fizzy drink noises that you can't tell apart. I don't know. But maybe I'll be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And these aren't just the same exact fizzy drink sounds for every single fizzy drink. So we're going to start off now with, this is Solo in a can, 0 sugar, Solo, original lemon flavored Solo. Let's see how this goes, let's see. full flavor thirst crusher. Thirst crusher, thirst crusher. Next up we have a can of Pepsi. Pepsi. 1 can of Pepsi. Just notice this has a health star rating of 0.5. I would have thought it would have been like negative. So it's just a can of Pepsi. Let's have a listen to these bubbles. let's try pouring it out of the can. So I think the Pepsi sounds fizzier than the solo somehow. I don't know. Maybe they will all sound the same when I listen back, or maybe they will all sound completely different. It's all very interesting. Well, we've got quite a few more different fizzy drinks left. Everybody, quite a few more different fizzy drinks left. So let's keep going. I've got more fluids to consume. Way more fluids. Next up, the next fizzy drink we have is Ramune. So this is, it says fun marble drink. It requires some preparation. It's like not fizzy, and then you push this like little glass ball marble thingo in from the top. You like push down on a little tool that you get, and it pushes the little ball into like a different part of the glass, and it becomes fizzy. like sorcery or something. So it says Kimura Ramune Fun Marble Drink, carbonated soft drink, original flavor. I'll read the how to open, even though I've had this a lot of times. I've done this a lot, but 1. Peel off seal and lift off green cap. Okay. Push down the center to release opener. Okay. 2. Place opener on top of the bottle and press down firmly with your palm for 5 seconds to dislodge the stopper. Three. Remove green opener from bottle, discard after used. So now the little marble lives inside a little track up in the top of the bottle, and when you drink it, it comes out fizzy. Warning. Oh, the warning's bigger than the instructions for opening. So warning 1. Do not swallow green opener. Discard after used. 2. Keep out of reach from small children. Adult supervision is advised to open bottle. 3. Removing marble from bottle might cause injury. 4. Do not freeze or store product under direct sunlight. 5. Do not store product in car where it is exposed under extreme hot temperature. 6. Do not consume if either marble or bottle is tampered. Product of Japan. Product of Japan. Yeah. So, apart from that initial fizz, it doesn't sound very fizzy because it fizzed when the ball went in, but now we're going to try pouring it, because when you drink it from the bottle, it is fizzy, and I'm pretty sure when you pour it into a glass, it's also fizzy, but because the liquid, I don't know, gets marbled. I don't know how it works. It's magic, everyone. It's just magic. Okay, let's give it a go. So far, the Ramune definitely does have a very different sound. It's got like an almost, I don't know, the bubbles sound bigger, like crunchier somehow. And you can almost hear all the individual bubbles rather than just a general fizz. It definitely staying, like, despite being away from its marble friend, it's definitely staying fizzy. But it is a gentler, softer fizz than the other drinks I've had so far. So just a kind of less attacky bubble, really. But yeah, that's the Ramune. So next up we have what I would say is my favourite fizzy drink, and that is Peppy Dr. Pepper. And yeah, I'm a really big fan of the old Dr. Pepper. So I have a can of that. This one's imported, sparkling fruit flavour. Soft drink with sugar and sweetness, best served chilled. Lucky I have it chilled. I think this one's imported from the UK. So yeah, imported by British Provender Proprietary Limited. It's imported into WA. Cool. So let's see how Dr. Pepper sounds. Let's give it a go.
I feel like Dr. Pepper is definitely a quieter fizz. I say definitely, but I could be completely wrong when I listen back. But on first impression, it sounds kind of quieter than the others. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to the next. Drink. Okay, the next fizzy drink we have is a bottle. It's a 750 milliliter bottle. I don't have any plastic bottle one, like 600ml bottles. I don't know why. That seems like an oversight. I feel like they would sound slightly different in that container, but anyway, oh well. We have here some sparkling P&N apple juice, 99.7% fruit juice. Ooh, introducing a crisp, sparkling apple juice crafted with natural ingredients, brought to you by the creators of P&N juice. I do like a sparkling apple juice. Okay, so we're going to open it up. It's a glass bottle with like an aluminium lid, so we'll give it a go. So this one, like once it's poured into the cup, almost has like a musical, like a tinkling sound, which I didn't notice for the other ones. So that's quite nice. I do like a bit of fizzy apple juice. So I suppose I'm supposed to have like a hypothesis and a conclusion. That's how science works, right? So my hypothesis was that they would all sound exactly the same, but I think they were all kind of different. I noticed something different about all of them. And I don't know, maybe when I'm listening back to this, I'll be like, what are you talking about? Those were all exactly the same. But I felt like I noticed differences, like the Ramune was kind of sounded like there were bigger bubbles, but like less of them, like a softer bubble. And the Pepsi was like very fizzy, like very, very fizzy, fizzier than everything. And the Dr. Pepper was like smaller, sharper bubbles somehow. And I think that the
fizzy apple juice was like sounded a little bit musical. I don't know, it tinkled. I don't know. Maybe it sounds all different. Maybe it sounds all the same in the recording. But we'll see. We'll see. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed that. Just so you're aware, I've been drinking all of these also as we go. So I'm very full of fizzy drink at this point. Very, very full of fizzy drink. And I've been burping a lot, which I'm obviously going to edit out. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. Now that I'm thoroughly full of fizzy drink, I guess we'll transition into playing some gentle piano, just some gentle piano. So we're going to have some fizzy drink noises, and those will transition into some piano noises. Or maybe I'll just have them both simultaneously. I don't know. But either way, there's going to be fizz and there's going to be piano. So what I want you to do now is just to concentrate on the fizzy drink noises, just to help put your mind in a state of rest. Thank you for tuning in to AzZMR on Zed Digital this evening. Thank you for tuning in, and good night, good night, good night, good night, good night.